Evening. So today marks 14 weeks post-surgery. Had surgery on Friday 23rd of April. So it's been a little while since I've updated anyone and just gone through anything really. The girls have finally gone to bed, which is nice, bit of peace and quiet. And my partner's out having a drink with a friend, so it's a fairly good opportunity to document a little bit of an update, I suppose. I will kind of make hopefully some more kind of clean, structured videos in future, but at the moment this is still just kind of a echo chamber diary sort of thing. But I'll start, entertaining the idea of editing software and that kind of thing maybe a little bit further down the line. So after surgery on the 23rd, I ended up having paralytic ileus for a week. So, when your bowels are operated on or played around with, manipulated in any way, they kind of stop working, they go to sleep. So essentially all of that, your stomach still continues to produce all of the acids and digestive juices and all those sort of lovely things, but the natural function of your bowel is not working, so there's nowhere for it to go. So for a few days I was eating and had nowhere for it to go, and ended up sort of vomiting quite a lot, and with the gas and the build up of all these fluids, it honestly felt like the skin on my back was going to split apart. Like I could feel the pain between my shoulder blades. It was unreal. So I had to have a Rolls tube put in, which is a nasogastric tube, so a tube that goes up through your nose, up your nose, down your throat, and then directly into your stomach. So that's to relieve the pressure and to also drain a lot of the fluids and stuff like that. And as soon as they put that in, after I was in agony for a few hours, say a few hours, near enough a day, through that syringe and that tube they drew out probably like 2.5 litres on the first attempt of, semi-digested food, drink, stomach acids, all that sort of stuff. And it was pretty uncomfortable, if I'm going to put it lightly. I mean, if I never have to have one of them again, I'll be very, very happy, I'll be honest. But at the same time, once they drew all that fluid out, it eased that pressure, because for a couple of days, I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely thought I was gonna die. I felt that I've never felt that ill in my life, never, not once. I felt weaker, especially in the peak of my my flaring for the colitis, like when I was bleeding, going to the toilet 30-40 times a day, passing blood, not getting out of bed. I felt a lot weaker. But for feeling pure rubbish and just really not well, this tops the lot. Of course, it doesn't help that every single movement I was making, it was making me feel more nauseous, because I could feel the tube sort of stirring my stomach. It's like having a straw in there, so when you move it kind of like goes that way and that way, and you can feel it against your throat. Like you get more used to it, but you don't ever forget it's there. But yeah, like there was a few days, so I called up my partner, spoke to a few people, and I was just like, man, I knew surgery was going to be really, really bad. But all the research and everything, it never prepared me for that at all. It was 100 times harder than I ever expected it to be, ever. But once I got past that first week, and then started to have signs of the bowel starting to work again, started sort of eating soft foods. I was on a fluid restriction as well, because as soon as my bowel started working, it started working too well. Ironically, it's like one end of the spectrum to the other. I went from ileus to pumping out like 2.5 litres of fluid through the bag daily, and they were never going to let me go home until I'm below that sort of 1 litre threshold. One of the main functions of the large intestine and the colon is to absorb water and any remaining nutrients. So when you don't have a large intestine, it's very, very easy to get dehydrated. So pumping out 2.5 odd litres of fluid and partially digested material into a bag in a 24-hour period, you're not absorbing a lot of nutrients at all. You're losing a lot of electrolytes, and you're at real risk of severe dehydration. And when you're healing, and your body needs all that extra fuel, then obviously it's not an ideal scenario. So put me on a load of Imodium, loperamide, to try and slow things down. I was on a fluid restriction, which was 1 litre of a diurolite solution, but like a sort of industrial hospital strength. So you might have a sachet of diurolite for a glass. I was having like 8 sachets in 1 litre, and then I was allowed 500 ml of free fluid. So anything with a little bit of sugar in, if it's pure water, it just goes straight through you. And if it's anything with certain sweeteners in as well, it just speeds up the process. So that was difficult, but at least I was eating again, so that was great. All in all, I ended up being in St Thomas's for 35 days, and it was really, really tough. It was really tough, a lot tougher than I thought it'd be. And it was also really tough because I knew that my partner was at home looking after our 2 daughters, which are both very, very young. Who are both very young. And those chats between us, those video chats, they could either be really, really positive and really encouraging, or we could end up getting each other down. And that was probably the hardest thing about it, is like when I'm feeling rubbish and she's feeling rubbish, trying to bridge that gap and bring each other up almost became a sort of impossible task, and it really, really was hard, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, 14 weeks on, I'm still on prednisone, on steroids, because I've been waiting an endocrinology appointment for about 3 months now, essentially because I was on such a high dose of steroids for a long period of time. I had to have blood tests to make sure that my body was going to start producing cortisol when I was down to 5 milligrams, that is, of prednisolone. However, it doesn't appear to be the case, so I've had to stay on a maintenance dose of 10 mg in the meantime until it's investigated to see whether I've got some sort of steroid dependence, which is frustrating because it means I'm also retaining a lot of weight. I went into hospital. When I went in on the 13th of April, I'd put on 10 kilos in 10 weeks from my previous visit due to the prednisolone and being less active. Then post-surgery, and when I was discharged, I'd lost 10 kilos. And I weighed myself last week and I put that back on again. I've got stretch marks here, there and everywhere. But my scar's healing quite nicely. It's nice and purple now. Got my bag there. It's a sample bag. One of the sample bags I've had. I've been testing out all the companies because the hospital bags I was given are pretty big and crisp packety and not very comfortable and not very confidence inspiring. So yeah, I'm just testing out all various different company samples at the moment in the hope of finding something that suits me. I think I found one at the moment. I'm not going to name drop anything, but yeah, I mean, made progress the last 3 or 4 weeks physically, and of course that's helped me mentally, because mentally it's been tough, really, really tough. By far the hardest thing in my life. I know it's for the best, and hopefully going forward I'll start realising that more and more. I feel like I am now. It's easy to forget just how ill you were, and that's what I keep reminding myself. One of the surgeons, when I spoke to him post-op, he said, you know, colitis is a disease of the internal linings of the large intestine, but a good chunk of my large intestine was so diseased and ulcerated that they could see the disease externally. So when they opened me up, they were like, yeah, that part of the organ, that part of the body definitely needs to go in a bucket and chuck it in the bin, you know. So that was reassuring that it was the right decision. At the end of the day, all real medicinal options had been and gone, worked and failed. So it was the right decision. But yeah, you know, it's a long road, isn't it? It's always going to be a long road. So, but yeah, just a little update for you. As I say, now I'm starting to get into a more positive mind frame, getting used to the changing of the bags and what I can and can't do in terms of lifting stuff, and being a bit worried about, you know, dogs jumping up at me or my kids jumping on my belly, that kind of thing. You know, I'm quite standoffish with everything and everyone at the moment, which I think is natural. But yeah, looking forward now, seeing where sort of work sort of stuff's going to go, and just trying to really reevaluate what's important in life, because yeah, my mental health has been tested a hell of a lot, and it has made me reevaluate a lot of things, both internally and externally. So yeah, I need to get my YouTube grind on, that's for sure. I need to start working with these software editing things, because you don't just want to see a piece to camera every time, do you? You want to see some flashing lights and chop-ins of slideshows and a bit of music and all the rest of it. But yeah, if you've got any other questions about the surgery or the process or where I'm at now, or you want to message me because you've been in a similar situation or you are in a similar situation, by all means feel free. Comments and stuff like that, you know, drop them and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, until next time, I'll speak to you again, hopefully sooner than the last video, because it has been a wee while. And yeah, go well, stay well, be well. Peace.